What the Beep Do You Know About Learning English is a podcast for intermediate to advanced learners of English. Some teachers might find it interesting too. The podcast aims to provide different perspectives on learning English and at the same time develop our listeners' English skills. In this episode, we talk with Damien Herlihy. Damien has a master's in TESOL, 15 years of teaching experience. He runs his own successful language school in Thailand, has won awards for action research, and is now the founder of an exciting online venture called English Riot. In this segment, we find out about our guest's background looking through the lenses of language learning and teaching. So, Damien, what do you know about learning English?
Well, funnily enough, I probably don't know very much at all. So that's why I decided to name this podcast What Do You Know About Learning English? Because I think I've asked this question, I suppose, many times to myself, in the morning, looking in the mirror. I mean, I've had a long history with languages. I suppose I started out, I think, quite naively wanting to be a diplomat at school.
Oh, really?
I remember going to a career counsellor, and they were sort of going through things that I wanted to do, and I think I sort of like travel or something like that. So for some reason we landed on diplomat, but I didn't even cross my mind that to be a diplomat you probably needed to know another language. As I could speak English, but I couldn't even speak that very well. So I was sort of at a big disadvantage. So that sort of started this trigger that, maybe I need to start learning some other languages.
Did you start learning another language? Yeah.
Yes, I did. I eventually, when I left school, it took a while, but in my mind I thought I still wanted to, be a diplomat or have some sort of overseas position. So I started to learn Spanish. And like you learned Spanish.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to as much as I can. So, okay, so tell me what happened with that, because I've never heard you speak any Spanish.
No. I try to keep it a secret about learning Spanish. And then that comes back to the question, like, what the beep do you know about learning a language? Because I feel like if I haven't been successful in actually learning another language myself, then how can I actually be teaching other people to learn a second language? So with Spanish, I once again, I had like a 1 hour a week lesson, and I think at the time they were using like audiolingual methods. So you had lots of this really boring like picture book of like a dog and a boy, and it would play like what that was, and you had to point at it and say it. So I don't think I remember what the word for dog was. It's like, is it perro? I think.
Yeah,
I don't know. Perro. The rolling R. So I remember that.
That's right.
So probably after a few $1,000s, I remember the word for dog in Spanish. So what I learned is, you actually have to do something. Like, you can't just go 1 hour.
What a revelation!
to your class with your teacher, and then spend a few boring hours with this tape recorder and pointing at pictures. So I found out that, quite quickly you actually have to do some work to learn a language. So
how did you then, so you obviously didn't become a diplomat. I think you're a very diplomatic person, but
thank you.
How did you then, you're welcome. How did you then make that leap into language teaching? Tell me a bit about that.
Well, I was traveling. I went through Asia. I was riding scooters with someone, and we met this other sort of traveling people, and they told me about, you should do a CELTA because you can, teach in another country. So that sort of planted this seed, in my mind that, okay, when I get to, because I was traveling to England via Asia, I thought when I get there I might, do a CELTA. And
right.
I did my CELTA. After that, I went and taught in Thailand, and I was a terrible, terrible, terrible teacher. More of a traveller teacher, I suppose.
What do you think made you a terrible teacher? Just lack of experience, or was there something else?
I think definitely like confidence issues, I suppose. Being in front of people and that pressure to perform and things like that. Also, my first lesson was with very young kids, and the CELTA, when I studied that, I didn't they don't really do any modules on teaching young children. So I remember going to the classroom the first time and had all these young Thai children who were about like 5 years old, and the very first thing they did, they all went under the table and wouldn't come out. So that was the beginning of my teaching career. So I had to go out to reception and get someone in to coax or pull the children back out from under the table. So yeah, the first few years, I felt wasn't that good in front of the classroom. But at one point, I did decide. I thought, okay, I got to get better. So it's where I started to move and think, okay, I want to make this into a career, and that's where when I returned to Australia and I started to do my masters in teaching English. So then I felt like I started to build a bit more, knowledge or background in the field of teaching, and started to make that transition to a proper teacher. And then after that I went to Swinburne, and that's where we crossed paths for the first time.
Yes, that's right. I believe you were involved in the hiring process as well.
Yes, it was the worst decision of my life. No. It was very good. I didn't regret it at all.
Yeah.
And Swinburne was good in the sense I felt I did a lot of professional development there, and also what I thought was like a turning point, I suppose, in my teaching career was where I did some action research where you do sort of research based in the classroom. And for me, that was really beneficial because I started to reflect on my teaching, and then also started to improve as a teacher because I sort of took control of my own professional development.
And I think that's really key because it's so easy in this job to just sort of slip into a coma for a little while and just go through the motions. So it's always great when, teachers who've been at it for 5, even 10 years are still looking to try something new or try to be better. I certainly know how important that is for me to keep interested and to keep striving for something better.
For sure. You can definitely go on, cruise control and not just turn up and do the same stuff all the time. But as I said, with this research, it really got me thinking. It also, once again, showed actually how much I didn't know still in teaching language, particularly like, I suppose, as an area of pronunciation, because we did a lot of work with recording students' voices and then giving feedback on their pronunciation. So sort of opened up this whole, another world of teaching which I hadn't really looked at. And they say that with any subject, the more you dig deeper, the more you actually find out you don't really know that much. You keep going, and there's still more and more things to find out and get better at.
Absolutely.
And then I suppose after that, when my current sort of where I am now, I moved to Thailand and then opened up a school with my wife called Tech. So with that, once again, that's even because it's my own business. I suppose I even put more and more energy, I suppose, into finding out about teaching and getting better as a teacher.
And I believe you're back working with children again, so you've gone full circle.
Yeah, that was the one thing I wasn't that keen on coming back to after that first year and that very first experience of all the children going to the table. I thought, no, I'll never teach children again. But hey, never say never, because as things have turned out, I'm back in Thailand teaching children again, yeah. And which then sort of leads us now, I suppose, to English Riot, which is my current project. When I first came here, yes. I had a website called Tech Squared, and that was looking at using technology in the classroom. And now my idea sort of evolved into English Riot, which is trying to help students, improve their English. Because I feel like now, as with what the big, about learning English, I feel like I do have a decent amount of knowledge that I want to share with students, and I want to share it sort of in my own way and own style, and hopefully make it, engaging for students. And this podcast is a part of that whole project.
Well, it's very exciting. Obviously, I know a little bit about your project and have had a look at some of the resources. So I really look forward to seeing, people really benefiting from such a unique way to learn and continue on with their English. So in this next segment, which is called Study Tip of the Iceberg, we explore our guest's number one English study tip. So Damien, what is your number one English study tip?
For me, I suppose after all these years, I think it's just about building a habit, because I think you can have like the shittiest system in the world, but if you follow that system religiously, you'll still make progress in your studies. So even though I'm not condoning or I'm not saying have a shitty system, but all I'm saying is if you have a habit, even if you do have a crap system, you can, improve your English skills, I suppose. And one of my favourite comedians, Jerry Seinfeld, he had a quote. It was a quote for him when I think another comedian asked him, how do you get so successful? And he said, just get out a calendar, and every day you come and, write material, and you put a cross, and then eventually you'll have a chain, of days of you writing material, and from that you'll start to produce good work. So for me, yeah, and it's just about that habit building in learning anything really, I suppose, yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And I think you can take a leaf out of the book of sports stars, I suppose. Currently we've got the World Cup on at the moment, and yeah. I mean, if you think about those guys spending hours and hours and hours just working on penalties and corners and all that sort of stuff, it's just that repetition and consistency of habit. And it's funny when you do look back, and even if you're making a little bit of progress every day and you look back and you see, like you said, the crosses on the calendar and go, oh my God, a month has passed and look at all this stuff that I've been able to do or achieve.
Yeah, for sure. And you need, as a part of it, you sort of need some sort of record and I watched Give It 100. I think you've also seen that.
I was going to ask you about that, so I'm glad you've gotten onto it. Yes, please continue.
Yeah, we've Give It 100. That was like a project by, I think, Karen X Cheng, and she posted up a video every day for 100 days about her goal to dance. And in each video, you could see right at the start she was, really crap at dancing, and then by the 100th video, you could see the improvement and you could see those steps going through. So I was sort of inspired after seeing that. Then I started to apply some of her ideas to my own learning. So I sort of decided to do, 3 projects connected to teaching over the course of a year, sort of like 3 100-day projects. And on her website at the time, you then posted up a video each day sort of showing what you were doing to reach your goal. So for me, having that sort of video, that accountability of putting up a video each day really got me motivated and kept me, on track with my learning goals. Like what, Jerry Seinfeld, putting up that video was effectively like putting the X on the calendar for me.
Yeah, and look, it was an excellent idea, and obviously, I was introduced to that idea because you did 3 different projects. Is that right? With that concept, even outside of teaching language.
Yeah, I did like Thai. So my own personal thing was my, trying to improve my Thai because I'm living in Thailand. And that's also part of, I suppose, what English Riot is that I'm going through my own language learning journey, and sort of like the strategies and ideas that I suggest, I'm also sort of experimenting, like a lab rat on myself before I bring them to the market. And the other 2 was like ukulele and drawing, because I suppose teaching with children, I was trying to bring in more music, and also drawing because I had really terrible stick figure drawings. So I decided to develop all those skills which sort of fed into my teaching. So yeah, but what I found out, like you go through this, I suppose, what I call the absolute crap stage, the first 20 hours, and and you just have to smash through that. Because, I mean, in the past, like when I was younger, I just didn't have the commitment. I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to learn the keyboard. I want to learn piano. And then, I practice like 2 times. Then I did, this is terrible. I can't play it. So I give up. So it was quite empowering to then do this, finally have this realization at the time, probably my late 30s, that, if you put in the time and the commitment, you can pretty much learn anything, really. It's just having that habit of turning up each day and a bit of a system, and a good teacher can help for sure as well. So, yeah, get out that big pen, get a calendar and start, putting that cross in. Doesn't have to be a cross, can be smiley face, tick if you want more sort of positive imagery. But, yeah, start doing
emojis.
Build a habit today. Emojis, draw a different emoji for each day.
Fantastic. I think that's an excellent tip. Okay, so this segment is called Language Unmasked. Now, Damien, I noticed on your website, English Riot, that you use masks a lot, like pandas, gorillas, etc. So what do all these masks have to do with learning English?
It sort of, I suppose, reflects my own feelings about learning a language. I feel like when you speak in a second language, people don't actually see you for who you really are. So it's really hard to show your personality or show your skills or show your abilities. And it feels like you're at times wearing a mask. And sometimes I suppose you get into embarrassing situations and other things like that. And these masks sort of represent how people might see you as a sort of, in a ridiculous kind of way. So the idea of the mask is that I want to help students and also help myself, because it's about my own language learning journey, take off these masks and let, people see them for who they really are, see their personality expressed properly in a second language.
So you mentioned before embarrassing language situations. Could you tell us your most embarrassing language learning story?
Yeah, well, in Thailand, a long time ago when I was first learning Thai, because some of my first teaching jobs are in Thailand, and I was teaching at university, and then I'd have my lunch break, and after that I would always order a banana shake, and I would order in Thai. So, but every time there was a group of people and everyone seemed to smile or laugh, so I sort of got curious about, okay, I thought maybe, they're just laughing at me because they think it's funny, a guy trying to use Thai. But then it happened consistently, and I started thinking, maybe I'm saying something wrong here. So I asked a Thai friend, okay, the word in banana shake, are there any sort of similar words that, similar pronounced words that might, be misunderstood by the people I'm saying to? And then I found out there is a very, very similar word, and there's a similar word. The similar word for banana in Thai is actually dick. So when I was ordering these shakes, I wasn't asking for a banana shake. I was actually asking for a dick shake. So yeah, that was the reason for the laughter, I found out quite embarrassingly after ordering this banana shake. Yeah.
Which is quite interesting given the shape of a banana, but we won't go into that too much.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it was just my butchering of the pronunciation, like instead of a gert sound, I was doing more of a kurt, and then unfortunately it meant that. And after that point, I then decided I would change my taste in shakes and started to order more things like papaya and pineapple, which were safer.
I have to say that I think languages can be really cruel in that sense. I think they really try to mess with you. People have come up with words that are so similar but end up being inappropriate if you pronounce them the wrong way. Things like a little insider joke.
Yeah, for sure.
So before you gave a really great study tip for students to follow, I'm just wondering, do you follow that study tip? Do you practice what you preach?
Yeah, I definitely follow the building a habit. In the past, no, I didn't. I was really, really poor with trying to build a habit with language study. And also, I suppose, another piece of advice I give students is to try and put themselves out there, use the language. And I find myself here, I seem with my speaking, I'm sort of, going backwards a bit because I don't actually put myself out there and use it because of, embarrassing situations like the banana shake incident and stuff like that. They can really damage your confidence with speaking a second, a second language.
Okay, so aside from embarrassing situations that you've had trying to speak Thai, what would you say is your favourite word or expression that you've learnt?
With this with this podcast, I suppose I'm trying to expose students to, swear words and slang and idiomatic language. So that's what I always look for in another language like Thai. And in Australia, piss as a word is used a lot in a whole lot of different expressions. So in Thai, there's two quite good words for saying that you want to, take a piss or go to the toilet. So, and they have one for the males and one for the boys, or one for the girls. Sorry. So for the guys, it's like ying gratai, which is like called shooting the rabbits. So if you want to go to the toilet, you say, I want to go out and shoot some rabbits. Well, for females, it's get dorkmai, and that means to go out and pick the flowers. So sometimes if you go to the toilets in Thailand, I have seen like the image for a male toilet might be a rabbit, or for a female toilet it might be some flowers and stuff like that. So it's sort of cool.
Right.
With idiomatic expressions, you get these little cultural references that often tie in, which sort of makes them really interesting to learn from my perspective.
That's very cool. Very cool indeed.
So, do you need to go pick some flowers, or shall we continue with the program?
No, I'm okay. My flower picking is all up to date for now, so
right.
We can continue on.
Right.
You don't need to go shoot rabbits? You're all good?
No, I'm good. I'll save it till the end of the show.
Right, so this next segment is called It's Raining Idioms and Swear Words. So what we do is we look in depth at a favourite expression or swear word of our guest. So Damien, what's your favourite expression or swear word?
The expression for me, I suppose, is linking up to what we talked about. I've always liked the imagery of having a monkey on your back. So I suppose with me and my problems with pronunciation, I suppose with Thai it's a tonal language, so I've always found that really difficult. And so over time I think I've got this sort of monkey on my back, and it's sort of stopping me from reaching my, language learning goals in Thai.
To have a monkey on your back.
Yeah, I've always sort of been into monkeys. I just have this idea of this big sort of hulking monkey clamped onto your back. It's good, but it's also, I think it's a good expression. I had a look at the history actually, and it actually originated with sort of drug addiction. So if you said you had a monkey on your back, maybe you were into some crack cocaine, or I don't know what the drugs the kids are into today, but you it meant if you told your parents, oh yeah, you got a monkey on my back, they would then, take you to the drug detox centre, I suppose. So I haven't actually said to my parents I got a monkey on my back because they might be worried about that. But for me, it's not about drugs. It's about language learning and the problems I face. As I was saying before, often the expression leads into popular culture, like idiomatic language. And I remember I first heard the expression when I was listening to a song by Pulp. Yeah, I think the song was called Here Comes the Fear Again, but it had the line, this monkey's built a house on your back. So they even took the idiom one step further and talked about like a monkey, you've got this big problem attached to your back, and it's not only just attached to your back, it's decided to build a house and, and live there. And that's what I feel with my pronunciation in Thai, that I've not only got this monkey on my back, but it's starting to build a mansion. It's got like a whole like 4-acre property with a jacuzzi and a pool, and it's really relaxed into the lifestyle.
Yeah. I like how you've expanded on the expression there. But does it have a lifetime supply of bananas by any chance?
Bananas, yeah, I think so. That's probably one of the things that, the banana shaking incident probably fed that monkey on my back and allowed it to create such a large home complex there. And that's the thing with problems. They get bigger and bigger if you don't do something to try and fix them. And so these monkeys on your back, you got to watch out. Once they move in, they're hard to evict and get out. I'm trying, but I still make pronunciation. I still have this Australian accent when I'm speaking Thai.
Yeah, right.
So this monkey, it's on my back. Yeah.
So now we've come to the final segment of today's podcast, which is called The Red Room, and it does require some listener participation. So, Damien, do you want to explain this concept of the Red Room?
Okay, sure, Amy. With the Red Room, it came from a program I was a big fan of in the 90s called Twin Peaks. Are you familiar with that?
I am. I never watched it, but I kind of knew the basic premise of the show, yeah.
Okay. Well, in the show there was always this dream sequence which contained, which included a red room with a dwarf in it, and he would speak a language backwards. So I thought I'd take this concept at the end and use it with language learning. So each guest will give a bonus swear word or idiomatic expression, but that expression will either be sped up, slowed down, or said backwards, like in the Red Room from Twin Peaks. And then our audience or listeners need to try and work out what that expression is. And with our podcast, you can leave audio comments. So the first person to leave an audio comment up and gets the correct answer will then receive a special prize. So are you ready for the expression?
I am ready. I'm very much ready. Hit us with it.
Stop cock-blocking me.
So that is our expression. So if you think you know what it is, try and get your answer in before the next episode.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of What the Beep Do You Know About Learning English. Thank you so much, Damien Herlihy, for sharing your knowledge, wisdom, and everything else in between.
I hope you enjoyed our first episode. It's only going to get better from here. So please make sure you subscribe to the podcast and leave an audio comment because we respond to everyone. Also, head over to www.englishriot.com for bonus material, including how to use some of the English expressions from this podcast episode. Finally, make sure you sign up for English Riot's e-newsletter to get access to the free course English Rage. See you in episode 2, where we interview... me.